Mom, what were you thinking? Why were you so hostile towards Caitlin yesterday? She didn't do anything to deserve that. You owe her a big apology.
Oh, what are you blabbering about, my dear? I was just enlightening that despicable little witch on the finer points of etiquette. That's all. What else could I possibly have done in that situation? That woman had the audacity to trespass on my property and provoke me. Naturally, I had to take necessary measures to safeguard myself and my family.
Trespass on your property? I asked you if we could come over, and you agreed to it. Look, Mom, I proposed to Caitlin, which means we're now officially engaged, and she's my fiancée now. So please, start treating her with the respect she deserves. If there's a shred of basic human decency left in you.
You call her your fiancée, right? That makes me her mother-in-law. What's wrong with a mother-in-law teaching her daughter-in-law some manners?
That's what you call teaching her some manners? You tried to shove her face into a boiling hot grill. Luckily, I was able to stop you from doing that, or else Caitlin could have been seriously injured. If such a horrifying incident were to occur, I wouldn't hesitate to report you to the police.
Report me to the police? Did that witch put a spell on you to make you turn your back on your own mother? You saw it for yourself. She got awfully big for her boots and snarked at me. Just who the hell does she think she is? Just some poor ass piece of garbage who's lucky enough to hook up with a rich guy. We all know poor people have absolutely no rights to speak their mind whatsoever.
You really need to cut it out, Mom. You're really going way too far. Don't even think about insulting my fiancée again. I'm not going to stand by and watch you disrespect her. If you touch a single hair on her head, I will make you pay a price you will never forget.
Brian, what's gotten into you? How dare you speak to me that way? I'm your mother, for crying out loud. I've raised you since you were a little boy. And this is how you repay me? By hurling hurtful words at me? For what? For a girl that you've only known for a few years? A girl who isn't even worth your time? I'm utterly appalled and deeply disappointed in your behavior. Your father and I didn't raise you to be a thug. We raised you to be a good and obedient boy to your parents. When did you become like this?
It's me who should be asking you that question. When did you become like this? Caitlin and I came to your house to announce our engagement. But your entire demeanor did a complete 180 after hearing my announcement. Now I realize that I made a grave mistake by expecting any semblance of support or happiness from you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Brian. Did you ask your precious little witch, Caitlin, about why I had to resort to such a measure? I was only stating the facts. But what did she do? She was acting like a complete savage. That insolent little worm talked back to me and completely dismissed my words. Back in my days, she would have gotten the belt for cheek like that.
Stating the facts? That was just you disdaining and insulting her, and she had no choice but to fight back. You relentlessly attacked her family's financial status, hurling derogatory names like rotten piece of trash, useless morons, or worthless woman. I honestly don't know what has come over you. I never imagined you would stoop so low and be so vile towards the person who is soon to be your daughter-in-law.
What's so wrong with what I said to her? I was just speaking the truth. But what in the world were you thinking when you decided to choose that destitute orphan girl as your fiancée? I've never expected you to sink so low and do such a thing. Do you honestly believe she's deserving of being a part of our family? I bet $1,000 her adoptive family couldn't even afford to pay for her education. No wonder she grew up to be an uneducated, spoiled brat like she is today.
Oh, really? Well, let me ask you something. Do you actually think that a classic narcissist like you is worthy of being my mom? I don't think so. You seem to be so proud of your academic background, huh? Well, maybe the school you attended was only reserved for classist people like you, so they didn't teach you how to be polite towards one another. Or maybe they did teach you how to be polite, but you just chose to ignore those lessons because you're too arrogant and self-centered.
What? Now you have the audacity to disobey and talk back to your own mother? I can't believe it. Caitlin has clearly brainwashed you completely. Right from the start, I had my suspicions about that deceitful witch. And it turns out I was absolutely right. Anyone who is an orphan and comes from a poor family is nothing more than a worthless piece of trash. It's about time you face that harsh reality head on.
Do you honestly believe that's enough to excuse your actions? You actually attempted to force her face onto a searing hot grill. Why don't you take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror? Those who resort to violence against others simply because they think they are superior are the ones who truly deserve to be called nothing more than a rotten piece of trash.
Excuse me? Are you seriously calling your mother out like that? How could you? Just look at Caitlin. Not a single burn or injury. She's perfectly fine and thriving. Even if her entire face was pressed into the scorching hot grill, it wouldn't be that painful. It would just be a delightful sauna session, wouldn't it? And let's not forget, our cooking grill is undoubtedly the finest and most luxurious brand on the market. It must have been quite the surprise for Miss Flatbroke to encounter our high-end gadget and decide to take a close-up inspection.
Don't you dare forget that I saved Caitlin from being burned. I had to stop you from shoving her face into the grill. Well, if that barbecue grill is so expensive and offers a luxurious sauna experience, why don't you go ahead and press your own face against it instead of subjecting others to it? I'm sure it would do wonders for smoothing out those pesky wrinkles on your face.
What? Are you seriously mocking me, Brian? I'm your mother. I'm the one who put time and effort into raising you. At least show me some respect. Here's a brilliant idea. If you ever tell your so-called future wife to grovel on her knees and beg for my forgiveness, perhaps I'll consider and grant her the privilege of joining our esteemed family. See how forgiving and full of love I am? That's how we affluent folks behave, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Because nothing says forgiving and full of love like forcefully slamming someone's face into a scorching hot grill, right? I must say, dear mother, I never would have expected such impeccable reasoning and coherence from you. Truly impressive. I can only imagine the sheer delight and joy Dad must experience while dealing with your company. My heart goes out to him, really. Thank goodness I didn't inherit your remarkable traits of being graceful and forgiving in my classist endeavors. What a relief.
What? Now you're actually taking pleasure in ridiculing your aged mother? Don't even think you can get away with bullying me like this. This is not over between you and me. Just wait and see. I will make you and Caitlin pay for treating me like dirt. I'm gonna tell your dad about all of this.
Brian, your mother just called me sobbing. She sounded like she was in serious mental distress. What was going on? You need to explain yourself, young man. Did you actually bully your own mother?
What? Seriously? Did she say that to you? I didn't do anything wrong to Mom. I was just standing up for my future wife and seeking justice for the mistreatment she endured at Mom's hands yesterday. Is there a problem with that?
Future wife? You call that orphan girl your future wife? Don't make me laugh. I was totally fine with her being just another fling of yours, someone you would eventually discard like the others. But to actually have the audacity to announce your engagement and plans for marriage? Outrageous. I had no idea you were so serious about getting involved with such a worthless scum. Listen, Brian, it's not too late to put an end to this foolishness. Just break up with her, kick her in the butt, and make it abundantly clear that this despicable woman has absolutely no place in our esteemed family.
That was why you hit me in the stomach yesterday? Just because you disagreed with my choice to marry Caitlin, thinking she's unworthy of our family? Both you and Mom have completely lost your minds. It's truly unbelievable that you would stoop so low as to harm your own son and his future wife. I'm utterly ashamed to have a family like you.
I had no choice but to resort to physical force, hitting you with all my might, just to snap you out of the spell that your bewitching girlfriend has apparently cast on you. I'm telling you, that blithering moron is up to no good. But I must say, those beatings I gave you when you were a kid actually helped you become a tough man, not some useless wet noodle of a son. You took my gut punch like a champ. Ha ha ha! Well done.
You're sick, Dad. How can you talk about assaulting your own flesh and blood like it's something to be proud of? Are you even human anymore? Am I even your son?
Are you trying to pretend that you didn't do anything wrong? Did you already forget what you did to your own mother that made me give you that stomach blow? You forcefully grabbed her wrist, leaving painful red marks. You actually hurt your own mother, you savage beast.
What else was I supposed to do? Mom tried to slam Caitlin's face into a hot grill. Of course I had to do something to stop her. I swear, I will not hesitate to call the police if she ever hurts Caitlin, even in the slightest way.
So this is how it is, huh? You're going against your own parents, all for the sake of some dumb poor girl? I bet anything at all that she was born on the wrong side of the blanket and then thrown away by her parents. Simply disgusting.
What's the matter with you? You're making baseless accusations about Caitlin without any evidence. You don't know anything about her, so stop being so judgmental.
How audacious. I didn't raise you to be this feeble-minded guy who's easily blinded by some wretched woman. What a colossal letdown you have become, Brian. Wake up, son. These vile witches are always scheming and manipulating, utilizing their bag of deceitful tricks to drive a wedge between families. They'll make you lose your sanity.
No, Dad. Caitlin didn't make me lose my mind. She just opened my eyes to how you and Mom really are. You're both monsters who think violence is the only way to solve problems. If you had any basic human decency, you would come here and apologize to me and Caitlin. You know what you did to us was wrong, and even if you were to apologize, I could never find it within myself to forgive you.
Say sorry to your trash girlfriend? In your dreams. Why should I lower myself to ever associate with that lowlife? She's just a useless moron who's of no use to society or anyone in it. Tell her to get lost. This family doesn't have a place for that scum. If she were to set one foot in our house again, I swear I'm gonna make her taste dirt. She'll be sleeping with worms sooner than she thinks.
You call yourself a proud businessman, and yet you use that kind of language to talk about your future daughter-in-law? I'm disgusted by your behavior. I can't believe I have a father like you. In fact, I'm ashamed at having you and Gemma as my parents.
You claim to be ashamed of having us as your parents? Ha! It's rather I and your mother who are ashamed of having you as our son. Do you understand? It was you who brought that despicable scum into our lives, insisting that she would become your wife. Our family holds one of the most respected positions within this town. Do you even comprehend the immense effort I've invested to establish our family's reputation as it stands today? Yet, you have completely sullied it by referring to that low-class woman as your future wife. You repulse me, Brian. I never fathomed that you would sink so low as to associate yourself with trash like her.
Look, Dad, I don't want to waste any more of my time with you. You're clearly immune to reason, so I'm ending our conversation here. But I guarantee that you'll regret your actions later.
Brian, I'm so sorry that we had to get married without your parents. It must be hard for you. And I wish things could have been different. I know they did some things that hurt us, but they're still your mom and dad. I hope you're not too upset about it.
It's not a big deal. You know how crazy my parents can get. If they had known about our wedding, they would have come and caused a scene, and we didn't want that.
Yeah, you're probably right. They still come to our house and disrupt our peace every chance they get. And it's causing me a lot of stress. I've had to block your mom's phone number countless times. Yet she persists in using new numbers to call, text, and issue threats. I know how violent they can be, and their presence fills me with fear whenever they appear at our doorstep.
I'm sorry for putting you through so much stress. I should have taken more drastic measures to make them understand their place.
No, it's okay. I know you did your best, and you're always there for me when I need you. But I'm still afraid that they might do something dangerous to me. Especially when you're not around or can't come home in time. You know what? I have no idea where they got the information, but they even know my workplace. I saw them in my office asking around about me. Luckily, I was able to hide before they could see me. It was such a relief to see them out of my sight.
What? They're trying to stir up trouble at your workplace now? That's absolutely unacceptable. I can't believe they would stoop to such levels. It appears they have no sense of boundaries or when to cease their disruptive behavior.
I know, right? They're creeping me out more and more. To be honest, I don't even feel safe anymore. I always feel like they're always out there somewhere, following me around everywhere I go.
They truly are an extraordinary bunch, aren't they? But don't you worry. I assure you that everything will be resolved sooner than you realize. Guess what? I've recently received a job offer to work overseas, and they guarantee excellent accommodation and a great income. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that allows us to escape from the clutches of my parents. So, what do you think? Should we begin packing our bags right away?
Really? That's great news! In fact, it's the most amazing news I've heard in a long time. I'm gonna turn in my resignation letter tomorrow, and we'll be packing our stuff and leaving the house as soon as possible.
But, are you sure you want to quit your job? I mean, you told me you loved your job. I feel guilty that you have to leave it like that.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. I have an international degree and ample work experience in my field, so I'm quite positive that I can find a new job soon enough, even if it's a foreign country we're talking about. Besides, I'm also excited to live abroad. It'll be a great way to start afresh and try new things.
Then it's settled. Let's move abroad and leave all of our troubles with my parents behind.
Hey, Brian. Where are you, Brian? I visited your house this morning, but neither you nor that despicable little worm were there. Have you relocated to a new residence? It's all in vain, you know. No matter where you try to hide, your father and I will always track you down. You won't be able to escape us. Not ever.
How many times have I told you to stop calling Caitlin names? She's not a despicable worm or anything else you call her. Stop belittling people. It doesn't make you superior to anyone. It only shows how ugly your personality is. Besides, she's my wife now. We're already married. Please start treating Caitlin with respect, if you still have any respect for yourself.
What? She's your wife? Why was I kept in the dark about this? Why didn't you inform me? You didn't even have the decency to invite me or your father to the wedding? You little ingrate!
Why should I? If I had extended an invitation, you would have undoubtedly attended my wedding and done something outrageous. Given your history of pettiness and vindictiveness, I have no doubt about it. I wouldn't be surprised if you and Dad assaulted me and my wife right in the middle of our wedding. In fact, I wouldn't put it past you to bring a weapon or some form of attack.
You're right. We would have done everything you just said. In fact, if we had known you and that trash of a woman were getting married, we would have bombed the place. I see you haven't changed a bit, Brian. You're still a good little lapdog to your wife. How utterly pathetic. If you keep going down this path, how will you be able to step up and inherit your father's company? Remember, you're our only child. You need to start acting like a man and prove that you're worthy of inheriting your father's empire. Right now, you're nothing but your wife's pet, doing whatever she tells you.
I'd appreciate it if you would stop insulting other people just once. But I guess you'll never be able to change. You're just a nasty person, aren't you? Actually, Mom, I need to make this clear to you once and for all. I will not be taking over Dad's company, and I will not be doing anything you or Dad want me to do anymore. I'm done being a puppet to be pushed around however you want.
Wait, what? Are you being serious? Is this some kind of sick joke? Did you hit your head somewhere and lose your mind?
Look, Mom, everything I said is true. My wife and I have already moved out of our old house and are enjoying our new lives somewhere else, without you or Dad stalking us like a bunch of creeps. Believe me, we're far away from your toxicity and you won't be able to find us.
How could you do this to us, Brian? You're our only child, and you're abandoning us like this? Your father is growing older, and he needs you to take over the company. You're the only one who can do it. Come back here right now, young man. You don't know what you're doing.
No, Mom, there's absolutely no reason for me to return. I'm not foolish enough to be manipulated as a pawn in your game. I have no desire to work in Dad's company. I want to forge my own path and build a career based on my own abilities and merits. By the way, I'm also severing all ties with both you and Dad. I refuse to engage with people who exhibit such classist, egotistical, and self-centered behavior. You only know how to express your feelings through insults and violence, and it makes me sick to my stomach.
No, no, no. You cannot do this to us. What's your father supposed to do about his company now that you're gone? I know you're just acting impulsively, right? Just ditch that little witch you call your wife and come home to us. Your loving parents who will always forgive you your mistakes and welcome you with open arms.
Why does it have to be my problem? How many times do I have to tell you that I don't intend to inherit Dad's company? I'm sure Dad will be able to find someone talented enough to hand his company over to. I'm staying with my wife, and that's final. There's nothing you can do to make me change my mind.
You're absolutely insane, Brian. You're just playing some sick joke on me, aren't you? Tell me that you are. This has gone way beyond acceptable limits. Do you even comprehend the fact that you've single-handedly destroyed our family's legacy? And all because of what? Some despicable lowlife you referred to as your wife? Unthinkable.
I couldn't care less about our family's legacy, or either of you, Mom and Dad. We could have had a harmonious existence if you had simply embraced my wife into your lives. But no. You crossed every boundary by attempting to assault her and causing us countless troubles. You left me no choice but to seek a new place where we could begin our lives anew.
Well, in that case, wait, I just had a brilliant idea. I think you should hand over your child to us when you have one. Your dad and I can raise him to become a perfect CEO. That way, even though you don't want to be the successor, your child can be.
Hand over our child to you? Are you truly that delusional, Mom? Please stop living in a fantasy and confront reality. I want absolutely nothing to do with you. And the same goes for my future children. Unless you demonstrate genuine signs of positive change, you will never have the opportunity to see us or your future grandchildren.
What? Are you serious? Are you cruel enough to witness the company being severed from our family? It represents the hard work of your father, his father, and the generations before them. If we can't find a suitable successor to your dad's company, everything will vanish, dissipating like dust in the wind.
That's for you and Dad to deal with, not my problem at all.
You ungrateful little brat. Do you have any idea how hard your father worked to maintain and develop that company? How much blood, sweat, and tears went into its prosperity and success?
I know how hard he worked, and I think he's a great businessman, but I have no respect for him as a person. He's just like you, always putting other people down and trying to prove your superiority.
Look at you, being so big-headed and all. Let me knock some sense into your head. Without the money your father made with that company, you wouldn't have become half the man you are today. The company gave you everything, and you're about to let some outsider get their grubby hands on it?
And what if I am? I've reached my limit of being manipulated by you and Dad. Since I was a child, both of you have gone to great lengths to ensure I comply with your every command. I was coerced into attending schools of your choosing, deprived of personal time and the opportunity to socialize with friends. Whenever I failed to achieve top grades, both of you resorted to harsh beatings. You almost stripped away my entire childhood and the freedom to make my own choices. I endured everything you and Dad imposed upon me, without even uttering a single complaint.
Don't you realize that we gave you the drive to step out of your comfort zone and become something bigger? It's all thanks to us that you are where you are today. Now you're blaming us for the discipline we gave you? When did you become such a snowflake? You've become nothing but a joke, Brian. I'm deeply disappointed in you.
Yeah, you can call me whatever you want, but stop treating me like your sacrificial lamb to your own failed ambitions. As long as you keep holding on to your prejudice against Caitlin, I have no intention of coming back.
Are you even listening to yourself right now? Tell me where you are. Your dad and I will come and get you. This madness has to stop.
I'll never listen to another word you say. Goodbye, Mom. This is the last time we'll ever speak to each other. My parents went absolutely bonkers when they discovered that my wife and I had relocated to a distant place far removed from their reach. They went on a wild search, combing through every possible location in their frenzy. They even went to the extent of showing up at the place where Caitlin's parents live, causing a scene and acting irrationally, all in an attempt to extract information about our whereabouts. After multiple incidents, the neighbors reported them to the police for causing disturbances. Their disappointment grew even further upon discovering that my wife and I had already departed for a foreign country. Due to my father neglecting his own business in his pursuit of locating us, his company began a downward spiral and eventually on the brink of bankruptcy. My wife and I are incredibly relieved to have escaped the clutches of my abusive and controlling parents. We now embark on a new and exciting journey, brimming with optimism, knowing that together we can forge a vastly improved future. With each other's support, we eagerly anticipate the wonderful experiences that lie ahead.